up, fight fans? Welcome to Mr. Mustache MMA News. Today, I want to discuss this Saturday's co-main event, but before we get into it, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button to continue getting more MMA content by yours truly to help the channel grow. Alright guys, getting right into it, we got Yair Rodriguez taking on Brian Ortega in their highly anticipated rematch, if you do remember, where most do remember, in their first fight, ended in a bit of controversy. Ortega, he had the shoulder injury where his shoulder popped out. I think it was in the first round of their fight. Really unfortunate. After that, Yair went on to have his interim title fight with Josh Emmett in winning fashion, and he went on for his undisputed title fight against Alexander Volkanovski, where he got TKO'd. Since then, Brian Ortega has not fought, and I think that's been most of the story for Brian Ortega in the last, I'd say, 4 or 5 years. Since that he kind of burst on the scene, knocking out Frankie Edgar, having that title fight against Max Holloway, we haven't really seen all that much of him. I know he's had a lot of injuries. He had the knee issues. He had the shoulder injury. There's just a whole lot that was playing into what was going on with Brian Ortega. He said he had a lot of things going on in his personal life. So where his prospect status and contender status was shining bright at one point, the light is dimmed a bit. He hasn't been so consistent. He hasn't been in his winning ways so much. He had the fight against Volkanovski, but that was a few years ago. And I'd like to say ring rust is a thing. And it normally is, but with Ortega, he's proven that he can go out there and perform after not performing in a long time, like his fight with Korean Zombie, where he hadn't fought in a very long time and went out there and put on just a phenomenal, dominating performance over the Korean Zombie, who at that time was still kind of in his prime. And here in this fight as well, I think that we could see him being sharp. I don't really see ring rust being an issue with Brian Ortega, but I think with the first fight, with the small sample size that we did have, I think is what we're gonna see the same result of in the second fight, where Yair, he was getting off some powerful snapping blows on Brian Ortega. A lot of snapping jabs, kicks. He was punishing Brian coming in, and Brian was landing his own shots in his own right, but he was leaving himself very open, and he was able to find some success putting some pressure on Yair against the cage. But once he got it to the ground, right away his shoulder popped out. So I'm curious to see how healthy he is going in this fight, and he even said too that he's had other injuries that have contributed to him not coming back since his fight with Yair almost 2 years ago. I think it was July of 2022. And he said he's going to disclose a little bit kind of what was going on behind the scenes after this upcoming fight. I'm sure he doesn't want to give out any injuries. Maybe he's having more knee injuries that like he had in the past. I'm curious to see. But with Yair, with him being active against the highest of levels, Josh Emmett, Alexander Volkanovski, since his fight with Brian Ortega, I think that he was finding success early on against Brian as well, and I think that's going to be the case. And also, if Brian does get this to the ground, Yair has a sick guard. He is dangerous off his guard. And he showed that against Josh Emmett. He could throw up triangle chokes. He could throw arm bars. He's also very offensive, where when he does throw up those submissions, he does throw up those triangles, he uses the elbows, try and get you, like, you're not going to sit there and not take damage with Yair Rodriguez in your guard, right? Or with being in Yair Rodriguez's guard. So as to where I think Ortega can find success if he takes Yair's back, or if Brian finds himself in bottom position. But if Brian gets himself on top, I think Yair is going to be equally as dangerous as Brian Ortega is. I think he's so well-rounded now. He took all that time off. I mean, there was a time where Yair was almost out of the UFC, right? Just not fighting, not taking fights. I think at one point he was basically like publicly like almost kicked out of the UFC. He was very upset about it, and they ended up being able to work it out, thank God, because the comeback of Yair Rodriguez is something to watch. I mean, he's gone out there and put on really good performances against guys. Dangerous as ever. The fight against Max Holloway is just an instant classic. And I think with where he's at, still only 31 years old. You got Brian, too, who I think is about 32, 33 years old now. I could be wrong on that. But I just think Yair, man, I think on the feet, he's just going to be too dangerous. And I think with what Brian's got to do, his path to victory is just so much... It's so much less clear than what is for Yair. I mean, Yair can really get it done pretty much anywhere. I think off of his back. I think on the feet he's going to dominate. Brian Ortega is going to have to really go out there and just put on a relentless pressure against the cage, clinch work. But I just like, every time I play out in my head, I just see Yair Rodriguez just putting on a 3-round beatdown. Hopefully, no controversy. Yair Rodriguez fights are always full of controversy. I don't know, man. This one's got me perplexed, guys. It just does 100%. With what we saw with the first fight, I'm putting my money on Yair. But with how Brian can perform at times, so unpredictably good almost all the time, dangerous even when he's almost out. We saw that with the fights against Volkanovski. There's even times in the Max Holloway fight where he had a puncher's chance. He landed some shots on Max. But this one just kind of has me a bit perplexed. I don't know. Now I'm just rambling, right? But I mean, yeah. I mean, if I put my money, I think I got Yair. I think Yair maybe by stoppage, or he's just because Brian's so tough. He's got such a good chin. Yair might not be able to put him away. So maybe a 3-round beatdown. I don't know. But nonetheless, I think Yair has more weapons in his arsenal than Brian Ortega does for this Saturday. Guys, let me know in the comment section what you guys think of this fight. Do you guys think that Yair is going to get it done? Or do you guys think that Brian Ortega is going to get done in the rematch? Love to hear your guys' thoughts. And guys, please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button to continue getting more MMA content by yours truly. Help the channel grow. Mr. Mustache, MMA news out. Let's fucking go, fight fans.